I'm here. There we go. I
Just
was
in
like
time.
rolling. I was like, what?
Wow.
I can't see me or hear me yet. But what's going on, y'all? Hey, I guess it kind of works out since I was gone. I feel like I've been gone forever, y'all, being on vacation. But glad to be back. I definitely think hopefully y'all see a Tanner looking late in here today, ready to talk some NC State stuff here today with
Not
y'all,
really.
man. No?
No.
Man.
You got that
Yeah.
light on bright on the
I
bright
know
setting.
I know, dude, man.
I thought he
I'm
was
telling
getting
you.
some more tan.
Yeah, no kidding. Nah, just again, it's awesome to be back and talking NC State with y'all, man. Definitely been a crazy week, and it was a crazy week last week, but obviously I had to miss last week's live show. So glad to be here. But obviously we got Nick already in the chat. But if you've been here with us before, you know the drill. But if you haven't been with us before, I know Greg is like, oh yeah, same old, same old. But just as a reminder, again, for those who need to hear it, send us your questions, thoughts, comments. Hey, who's here with us? Whatever you got, send it to us here in the comments. We will get to it all here today. But we got a special episode. We got all 5 of the crew here today. I know it's been a while. I know I've been traveling, making some traveling for work. Ken's has been dealing with some family stuff, and Greg's just been here no matter what, even though he's traveling back and forth to Raleigh.
Greg's been trying to tame his beard.
Right.
I know. I literally wonder if there's like a mold that he just holds it, and because his beard's always, I feel like, the same exact size and same shape every single day.
Here's a real question, Greg. Do you use beard oil? Here's a real question.
I use product. I'm not.
Okay,
I'm
all right.
not
I use product.
You got to make it look like
You
that.
have to for a beard that professional.
Yeah,
Volume.
Yeah.
It adds volume.
I got the
100%.
oil. I got the beard straightener. So if I really want to have a crazy night out, I can do that.
Greg, you don't want to go too far in depth, man, or else you're going to need some sponsorship going on here, man.
I feel like I'm missing out for our whole team.
Right.
I mean, I feel like every single channel, whether it's a podcast or YouTube channel, is sponsored by Manscaped these days. So, I mean, why not add that to it? I guess. But
And we're moving on.
We don't want to talk about that product.
Hey, listen, man. All right. Anyway,
hey, listen, we're moving on.
We're already off the rails, and we're 1 minute and 45 seconds into this.
Hey, whenever Michael, not Michael Tracy, but Michael Tracy, but other Michael gets on here, we're talking about this whole 8 a.m. thing. Do you guys see that chat?
Oh yeah.
I didn't read it.
Yeah.
When he gets
Yeah,
on,
I woke up to it said 50+ new messages. And I was like,
saw
yeah, I was like, I'm not reading that.
I saw that when I got off work. I'm like, what? I thought we had major breaking news for NC State today. I just see 8:30. Get out of here.
He was trying to tell me. Just quick opinion. I'm just going to tell this on here. When someone says 8 a.m., what does that mean to you?
8:00 a.m. Yeah.
Thank you.
8:00.
The only thing
he said 8:50. It could mean 8:59 a.m. I said nobody in their right mind would say that.
What that means to me is 0800 because I was in the military.
If you want contacts, join the what we call it, the Discord. Join the Discord. You'll figure out the
There's
contacts.
so much random stuff that goes on in there.
Yeah, it was an awesome conversation.
Which
I mean, we opened the floodgates when we opened it up to everybody.
My phone does not shut up all day.
Which I do got to give a shout out though to Michael C, because I think between him and Hunter were
The
like the
OGs.
2 OG followers of the channel. So appreciate them. But that was definitely a very interesting conversation. But all right, y'all, let's jump into some stuff here because we got a crap ton to cover here today. But obviously I have Michelle Simmons here. Hello to all of the Tuffy Talk VIPs. Yeah, what's going on, Michelle? Thanks for joining us here. Excited to get rolling here today. And also, make sure if you want to join the Discord, free to do. Just go to our Twitter page. It's pinned at the top. Join it and have fun with us. Hashtag shenanigans. Exactly right.
That's a perfect
All right,
word.
y'all. First and foremost, we're actually going to get very serious here. So I feel like that we can't even go a step further without addressing something which I know for me, even while I was on vacation, really hit me hard. Colby, it's the tweet pinned right at the top of our Twitter page. Just click that link and join us. But obviously while I was on vacation, heard the sad news about how we've had even more suicides from NC State students on campus, and that is now, I believe, 7 or 8 that have happened within this academic year alone.
It's 7 suicides. That's the 14th death.
Which is insane, y'all. Insane. Like I literally read that, and I couldn't even describe my emotions, honestly. Sadness, just like discuss like what's going on. Like there's something that is obviously wrong, simply wrong. Like there's no reason there should be that many, if any. I'm saying 0 should be the correct number, but I'm saying especially 7 or 8. That is completely abnormal. So I am saying here today that I'll be 100% public to everybody here watching that I reached out to the NC State student body council, so the president, vice president, name it, and basically reached out and said, "Listen, we want to be a part of this conversation. We want to be a part of the progress to making things right." I know 4 of us here are actual NC State graduates. Greg has the honorary graduate for sure, but
Greg.
He broke his leg at Carter Finley. What else do you want from the guy?
well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, honorary graduate
Honorary.
for sure. I mean, I'm not gonna lie and say that all 5 of us are. I mean, let's just be real. You know, Greg said it. He ain't.
Let's
he
be
ain't-
real. He's not a graduate.
but yeah, I mean, like, listen, like, you know, so I mean, we've been there. I know Greg is around the campus all the time,
For
and
sure.
so you know, it really hits home for us for sure. So I'm saying this to first of all say that if anybody knows anybody that can help us get in touch with the right people to help and try and spread, you know, a positive change to make sure this does not happen one more person. It needs to stop now, not tomorrow, not next week. It needs to happen right. It needs to change right now. So I'm completely putting it out there. If anybody can help us at all with putting us in touch with the right people, we are ready to be a part of making a difference for the right ways. Go ahead, Kens.
And if you need anybody to talk to,
We are all
anybody
here.
in here,
100%.
I mean, I know everybody in here knows how hard it is. I was probably the most recent graduate, so it's
were.
difficult walking into a classroom not knowing anybody. And if you're a very like introverted person, it's always hard. But you always have somebody to talk to at State. Like there will
100%.
always be somebody that sees you as Wolfpack family. Go up to them, talk. My DMs are always open. I'm sure everybody in here's is. It's heartbreaking to see that this is happening to like some of my peers that I was literally had classes with last year. So it really hit me. This most recent one did. So prayers for everybody and
100%. Yeah. And again, y'all, because at the end of the day, we are one family. We are Wolfpack Nation. We are a family. We're all in this together, and especially too with us, you know, graduates, like Ken said. I mean, we were just in y'all's shoes, you know, very recently, so we know that it's hard to be a student. You know, we know that, you know, it's tough to balance and be at a place, you know, where you're having to, you know, all the pressures of adulthood, whether it's feeding yourself, getting yourself up, you know, going to class, you know, there's a lot of stress there. So completely understand. So if anybody needs anybody to talk to, please reach out to us. And or especially if anybody could put us in touch with some people that can help us, you know, help use us and use our voice to try and make a positive change, we would love it and would really appreciate it. All right. Now that we got that serious stuff out of the way, let's get towards the fun stuff here. So I know the biggest stuff from this past weekend obviously has to be the NFL draft for sure. So got to give a shout out here. And Greg, I don't know. I know
it's all in the tweets.
Up there it is. There it is. So and you know what? Let's do this the right way. What am I doing? Jump it up. Tweets of the week.
Hey, get off vacation mode.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, we're here. Hey, just take a half second and we're back here, y'all. Tuffy's Tweets of the Week. So, yeah, first of all, again, Chandler Zavala, pick number 114 to the Carolina Panthers, which I do got to give a little bit of shout out. I know some people said I called it, blah, blah. I literally tweeted it before it even happened saying that the Panthers would be crazy to let this man go even one more pick, putting Chandler Zavala, who, I mean, was absolutely unstoppable for 2 years in a row. Beside Icky, like, bro, like Bryce Young's going to be an excellent.
Bryce Young's not even going to have to look to his left side. He's covered. You don't have to worry about that.
No, I agree.
Isn't he a lefty anyway? So the really or the right side's his blind spot, right? Isn't he a lefty?
I believe so. You're right.
So.
Yeah. So it's kind of odd that now, like, does that? I wonder if that changes things. Does that now? Because like typically your left tackle is usually your strongest offensive lineman because that's the weak side. So I mean, do you put Icky on the right side if the quarterback's a lefty? I don't know how that works.
So you consider Taylor Moton, I guess, the weaker tackle?
Yeah, some teams do it.
David Taylor's a really good tackle for them.
Yeah.
So.
Some teams do it both ways. They'll
I'm
put
just-
their best tackle on the blind side, or some will just leave it as is and say the right tackle, okay, now you got to protect his blind side. It
Right.
depends.
Sometimes
I'm
they'll
just
double
finally
too,
proud
so.
to say I'm a Panthers fan again. It's been a couple years.
Mhm.
So
They ain't won nothing yet.
they haven't, okay, but they came close to it. So
No,
relax. A
Bryce Young's
Buccaneer fan,
right-handed.
relax.
Well, I would say all they really need to do, in my opinion, is I feel like they're not that far away, and one of the biggest things holding them back was the quarterback. So if they can get in young there, but really building around that, but having a guy like Zavala come in and play for them, and that I think
Mhm.
they can get the quarterback figured out. I think that's probably 2 more wins at least under the belt in the schedule, and. I think it's just gonna be nostalgic for State fans seeing the offensive line, the less offensive line, just kind of be right
Putting
back
the
there
blue
again.
this time.
So
Yeah.
seeing those guys have fun at the professional level,
Yeah.
that just looks really exciting to me. So
Yeah. No, that will be cool. And I looked it up. So Bryce Young is right-handed, so
Is he
it'll be
right-handed?
those two. It'll be those two protecting his blind side. So yeah.
I could
Which-
remember because I know Tua is a lefty, so
Yes,
I can't
yeah.
remember if they both were.
Which and typically too, like, you know, 4th round picks is typically not necessarily the round where you're like, if this guy gets drafted, then he must be a starter. Like you know,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
you're kind of entering that spot where it's like, well, it could be more of a depth piece. But I mean, first of all, from the way that the offensive line coach reacted, combined with the first thing that was said was, "Are you ready to play beside Icky?" I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's pretty much solidifying that. Hey,
No.
like they're basically saying, "Hey, Chandler, this is your spot to lose, man." That's
Being-
almost what that told me.
Being at the draft party, I went to the draft party in Charlotte on Thursday, and the amount of people that chanted or started the Wolfpack chant when Icky came on stage, I'm just
Okay.
like, we're finally making
that's
like
really cool.
making a name in the Panthers, because we like Michelle said, we've never drafted a Panthers or a state player for the Panthers, so now I'm glad
Well,
I can
not
finally wear my
never.
state stuff. Well,
We haven't a long time.
I
We
think
haven't
the
in a
last
while.
one was. Did we draft Jericho Cotry?
No,
we drafted him. We
no,
traded for him.
No, he came from the Jets.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
there. Well, maybe that's true. I was thinking maybe the keyword there was
long time.
drafted. So
Yeah.
so
It's been a long time
I'm
for sure.
excited. I can wear my state stuff too. I'm
Awesome.
excited
Mhm.
for it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And again, I mean, hey, what a great recruiting tool to, you know, all of your North Carolina offensive line recruits, man,
Exactly.
being like, hey,
Yeah.
listen, y'all, see that line? We got 2/5 of it. Like that's huge right there. So, and because I'm telling y'all this right now, that I know during my time, you know, when I was a football equipment manager, that I've seen coaches that it's obvious that they belong as a position coach, and that includes Ryan Nielsen. He belonged as a defensive line coach. Dwayne Ledford, he belonged to be an offensive line coach. Coach 2J, man, I'm telling you, I'm excited about that guy. I really do believe that guy was born to be an offensive line coach, man. Like I'm excited to see what this guy can do on the recruiting trail. I'm excited to see what this guy can do developing, and especially now that he has 2 guys on the same offensive line in the home state. Man, I think he's going to absolutely kill it. I'm looking
I
forward
was
to
just
it.
thinking about this. It's kind of neat. I think they're one person short. If you would consider,
I was just working that in my head too, with
Uh,
Tooney, Brad.
If you
Yeah.
had, you could have
Yeah.
almost an all-pro NC State starting offensive line
Yep.
in the NFL. If you had Icky to Zavala to Bradbury to Tooney,
Mhm.
and
You
then
need a
you
right
just
guard,
started-
right?
Will
Yeah, and I was
Richardson was
I
there
was gonna say
for a
Will
while.
Richardson, but I mean, it's not really there right now. He was with the Jaguars, but either way, that's pretty good. I mean, it's not great, but you've got at least 4 guys who could be starting at each position on their own offensive line. That's pretty
Easily.
sweet.
No, I think all 4 of them are
2 great minds think
borderline.
alike, Greg.
Yeah. No, I think all 4 of them are borderline, you know, well, 3 of them, between Icky and Garrett and Tooney are borderline all pros. And I think Chandler, I mean, if he
Well,
continues
Tooney
to be
is.
Yeah.
well, that's what I'm saying is that like,
Okay, I see what you're saying.
but every single year that they've been at, they're in that conversation
Yeah.
piece to be all pro. So, you know, it's awesome to see how much State has solidified in the pros for sure. I mean, between Bradley Chubb getting paid, you name it. So
Naheem.
Naheem,
Yeah.
the man.
Yeah,
the
I'm
legend.
going to say just wait till next year and maybe we get some guys drafted that could, be more offensive linemen that can go in the NFL.
I was getting
Yeah.
ready to say I think you have a chance with Eason and a chance with Belton. They
Mhm.
both
Oh,
have.
AB will definitely go pro.
Well, what do you
Yeah.
think about McKay? Because McKay seems like a guy who I think could be there as a depth. Not only be a starter, but I think he'd be a depth piece.
Well, I know he was toying with potentially entering the draft this year. So
Mhm.
there's
He's got to work on
definitely
those pre-snap penalties.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah,
Jesus.
very true
That's
about
true,
that.
Kans. Which I do want to ask, because some people were asking this. Was anybody worried that we only had one guy drafted?
I'm sorry. I was not. I would have thought in like the 6th or 7th round would have seen like 2 or 3 of those guys would go off the board.
Yeah.
I'm pretty surprised. I guess my question is, who are you most surprised didn't get drafted?
Drake.
Chris
No.
Dunn.
No.
No.
Drake's
I'm
got
surprised
the
two
shorter
kickers-
profile, right?
I'm surprised
Exactly.
two
I
kickers
almost
went
want to
over
say
Drake.
Tyler Baker Williams.
Yeah.
I
Three
almost
went?
want to say Tyler Baker Williams, but because he was getting PFF, really high PFF grades.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I,
don't
I,
really
I
know.
would. The only other guy I would say besides Dunn is maybe Thayer Thomas. Maybe just because he's such a
No.
prototypical.
His size.
For
But
me, it was kind of Isaiah.
Yeah,
But the
Isaiah.
problem with because of that leg injury, I think
What
some
about
people
Dunn? Would Dunn? I mean, like it's almost
Well,
like Dunn.
Dunn is
No.
good.
And I feel like Dunn didn't because he doesn't have the versatility to be a kickoff guy right
correct.
Yeah.
And his leg isn't like he's not got the booming leg of 60 plus, right? On a consistent.
I feel like he can definitely
He's a
easily
Luke
get-
Rosa Award winner. He went
doesn't mean
15 for
anything.
15 in the NFL Combine.
Well, see, that's why I come back to like if you look at Nick Skiba from like a year or so ago, like he was one of the best statistical kickers in the ACC history, and then he's not basically in the NFL a year later because he
Or
Yeah.
bring up Roberto
and-
Aguayo. You know.
Well, yeah.
right, yeah,
Him
exactly.
too.
So
What I was saying
second
on a
round pick, I think was it second round?
second or third, yeah, it was stupid stuff. We're not talking about that anymore.
Go ahead, Greg.
We still got Super Bowl rings, so
Greg is a Tampa Bay
Just-
fan. For those who
just-
don't know,
despite that ridiculous draft pick.
Yeah.
I was having some conversations with folks about why Dunn, and it's just one of those spots. There's only 32 of them in the league, right? You don't have backups like you do for wide receiver or linebacker
Right.
or whatever. So the fact that on a good year, I think they took 2 or 3 kickers this year, didn't they? Was it 2?
Is it 2? I thought
I'm
it was
saying
three.
second round. It was definitely second round.
Oh no, it was definitely second round. I think they took 2 kickers this year. I know the Michigan guy.
I think there
One
was
of the
3
third.
kickers.
There
taken.
was
I
three.
mean,
Three. The
if
Michigan
you
guy
want
went
to count
third.
punters, I mean, there was more than that, but there's a couple
But-
punters taken.
Yeah, where I was just going with that is 3 is even a high number. Like
Oh yeah.
it's usually 1 or 2, sometimes none, and
Mhm.
that's just a position where they'll bring in guys dirt cheap off the streets, and they'll let them compete as an extra leg in camp to give the veteran some rest, so he's not kicking every day, and yeah, it's just one of those tough positions. I think Dunn's got potential, but to your point, making the fact that he's not a kickoff guy. It does limit him a little bit, though. Again, I'm only going to use the Bucks as the example. They've used their punter for a long time as their kickoff guy, so it's not unheard of, but it is that extra kind of if you're getting down to 2 guys and one can do both, you tend to lean to that guy. So
And the other thing which I would add too is Chris Dunn went to the Chargers, correct?
the Rams,
Rams.
Oh, the Rams.
he and Tanner
Tyler-
Hill went to the
Tyler
Rams.
Baker Williams went to the Chargers.
Correct.
See, I blame the NC State football page because they're the ones that originally got me mixed up between the Chargers and the Rams because I think it was one team that they said he was going to the Chargers, but then they put a Rams logo on his on his picture, and so it got me all confused between the Chargers and the Rams for the rest of the day.
And they're
But,
both in
you know,
LA now, so it's
Yeah, exactly.
And their colors are very close too.
Exactly. So, but got to jump on over here. So we got to talk a little bit about the Thomas brothers. Thayer Thomas going to the Vikings, Drake Thomas going to the Raiders. And for me, I mean, I said it immediately in the tweet, but I really did like the Vikings for Thayer. I think that there's opportunity there. I know that they drafted Jordan Addison, but I think that the Vikings know that obviously that Justin Jefferson is going to be the focal point. But then from there, it's just finding the right guys to fit the X and O's around it. And I think Thayer could be that guy, to more be probably a specialist guy, a kick return, a punt return guy. Like kind of like a Ryan Switzer career. I mean, where he jumped around for a while, but doing some slot receiver play, but then mostly doing a lot of special teams too, which, hey, it's not a bad career whatsoever. Play for a while, get some money.
So Thayer right now on ourlabs.com, which has a depth chart, right has us in the third string, basically the slot wide receiver. He's going to have to beat out guys like KJ Osborne, and right now it looks like a guy like Brandon Powell. But, I mean, those are not like, huge names. So he has a chance there. Brandon Powell is their main kick returner or punt returner, so maybe Thayer could find a spot on as a punt returner if it came down to it. But I personally, out of these two, I like Drake's landing spot because there's not a stud linebacker, in my opinion, on the Raiders team right now. And I'm not saying that he's going to be one of their linebackers, but I know there's two name receivers for the Vikings. I don't know a name linebacker for the Raiders, and that's where my mind kind of goes there.
Yeah. He also feels like he fits in well with the Raiders. I don't know why.
Oh, 100%. His attitude fits in perfect with Raiders.
In the silver and black.
I mean, he's tatted up like a Raider, right?
Yeah.
The linebackers are Robert Spillane, Divine Diablo from Virginia Tech, who's also from North Carolina, and Duke Shelley. I mean, that's what I'm getting at. Like, there's no. That was again according to ourlabs.com. So those are not names. So he could maybe play his way into one of those spots. You don't know right now, but possible.
100%. I mean, Thayer, he's used to this. I mean, he came in as a walk-on and he earned that spot. So I think he's just looking at it like this is just like how State was. I'm just going to go out, ball out like I usually do and earn that stuff.
When I think of Thayer, I think of a guy who's generally not going to be outworked. That's what I think about.
No, not at all.
And I think that's a great point too, is these guys that go in as undrafted free agents, they have nothing to lose and everything to prove. So they're just gonna, nothing's been given to them, and they're gonna go earn every piece of playing time that they're gonna get. So I have no doubt that they've been given the work ethic to go in and be able to compete.
I'm just glad everybody got a chance.
Yeah, and there's precedent there, right? For like someone like Thayer, where you have Jacoby Myers walking on basically at the New England Patriots, and now he just signed a 3-year, $33 million contract. So but you just got to go out and prove it. And here's the thing: even if you don't make it with the team that you just went on, you can get picked up by another team if you show up enough, right? Because there's always players, other teams looking for other players. So just go out and put on good film. That's all you can do.
Yeah, and we talked about them not getting drafted, but sometimes in those later rounds, it's almost better to not get drafted because you can you can choose where you want to go.
Right. Based on their need.
You're going to sign with. Yeah.
Yep.
And see, everybody's saying there was a couple people saying too that, Drake Thomas got some bad advice. He should have come back for another year and whatever. But I think it was honestly for both sides, both parties' best interest for him to move on, take advantage. I don't really know how much better of a year statistically he can have over the last 2 years. For Drake Thomas.
It's not the stats that hurt Drake Thomas. It's his measurables.
Yeah.
He's not going to get 4 inches taller. Yeah. He's not going to get 4 inches taller and gain 40 pounds this upcoming year. Like, it's just not going to happen. He's gone out and was first team all ACC. He's got all the accolades he can get from the college level.
Yep, he's done it all.
And he's played all the positions too. So it's not like he can go learn other positions. Like he's performed at all three of the of the linebacker positions.
And he's stood his ground in all three of them too.
Yeah,
100%. So Michelle did ask a question here too, and don't worry, Nick. I know your question at the very beginning. We will get to that question. But was there a lot of defensive talent this year in the draft room from other teams? I admit that I did not watch the draft this year. I mean, Will Anderson went number 3 overall from Alabama. I know that
number 5 was the corner from Illinois. You had the answer is yes. Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech was a big name this draft.
Yeah, Joey Porter Jr., who was projected to go early first round, and he went like in the second round. So yeah.
And then Simmons from Clemson, the linebacker, right? Simmons.
No,
Trenton
Trent Simpson.
Yeah, he went middle rounds, right? And he's
Yeah,
he's
there
a
was
big time
Bucks-
linebacker.
Didn't
The-
KJ Henry get picked up too?
He got
5th
drafted,
round.
too.
Miles
Yeah.
Murphy from Clemson.
The Bucks
Um,
took 3 defensive players that are all from the ACC, 2 from Pitt, 1 from Louisville.
Like you go
So-
Jalen Carter, Nakobe Dean from Georgia, who got all picked
Dude.
by the Eagles, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's now the Philadelphia Bulldogs.
Yeah.
right.
So,
Yeah.
Hey, listen, you can call it. Hey, you can call them whatever they want, but at the end of the
Right.
day, I'm sitting here going, dude,
well,
they're gonna be freaking.
plus they got
scary next year.
DeAndre Swift, who was a Bulldog.
Yeah,
So-
they're gonna be scary next year though. So
The answer to your question
Uh,
is yeah, there was a lot. I don't know
yeah.
how it compares to other draft classes, but there's a
it
lot.
was pretty heavy.
I mean,
I
Yeah.
know for Hunter, we just kind of talked about how Dunn didn't get drafted.
Mhm.
and I think one thing there's a lot of really good players in the country, guys. I mean, it's not like NC State is the only one with good players, right?
Yeah.
So there's guys. That's where some of it is like some of it you have to really be born with the talent a little bit.
Yeah.
Some of it is measurables and some of it is speed and those kinds of things. I mean, so
I was gonna say the other thing. Some of it too is just exposure. Like some of these guys didn't get combine invites, and so a lot of it's that exposure. Not
Chandler
everyone.
Zavala may have gone higher.
Yeah. He didn't get an invite, and then not everyone comes to the pro days. I think we had 28 pro teams. I think at our pro day.
Yeah.
So pretty
Mhm.
close, but not all of them. So it's just about needs of teams, and so they have. Look, they don't even look at every single player. I mean, it's impossible. So they
Mhm.
get what they got, and then there's probably a list of a couple hundred that they put on their board just to kind of keep monitoring. And if things work out, they work out. If they don't, they don't.
Well, and I mean, Zavala, was a guy that really didn't come into the conversation of middle round draft pick until a month or two
Right.
before the draft. Really,
Our
Yeah.
pro day.
Till the pro day, yeah.
Our pro
yeah.
day.
So I mean, it just listen, like there's so many undrafted players that have great careers in the NFL. So it's the draft is it's a gamble. I mean, even overall number 1 overall draft picks, sometimes fall on their face. Like it's hey,
Not sometimes, a
a
lot.
lot of times.
Not
That's
this year.
true. Not this year though.
We're winning a Super Bowl. Watch out, Greg.
Uh,
We're taking back our.
All right, y'all. So
Our
let's jump on
side.
over to 2 more. Our 2 defensive backs here. Derek Pitts going to the Bucks, and then Tyler Baker-Williams going to the Chargers. And again, for me, I look at this as I think Tyler Baker-Williams, in my opinion, has a great chance with the Chargers for sure. Not necessarily Derek Pitts either, but I think Tyler Baker-Williams. I mean, when he was healthy, that dude was one of the best pass defenders in the country per PFF. So that's really the biggest thing for me is just stay healthy, Tyler. And I think you can find a spot somewhere on the Chargers roster, in my opinion.
Can we go back to undrafted players real quick? I got just a couple here, a couple names. Nate Newton, Jason Peters, and Adam Vinatieri. So
Adam Vinatieri is not a bad one.
Adam
For sure.
Thielen.
yeah,
Adam
I think
Thielen.
Priest
Oh.
Holmes.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
So,
Big ones. But yeah, so Greg, give me your thoughts on Derek Pitts becoming a Buck.
yeah, I'm excited for Pitts, man. Like Leighton knows the story. He's the guy that got me on the field at Keenan and handed me the flag. So when I saw he
Love
signed as an
Greg.
undrafted, I might just go buy a Derek Pitts Bucks jersey, even if he doesn't make the team. Like
Customize it.
just yeah. But
Be the guy when the people go walking down the thing. Unless the team, people are like,
Pitts.
who's Pitts? Okay,
Who's
who
that?
Pitts is? Yeah.
No, I honestly, out of all the I love all NC State players. There's no denying or hiding that. But for him to be the one that went to the Bucks out of all of them, kind of a little bit more special for me, just because of the personal note there.
Yeah, 100%. And again, we're kind of breezing through these a little bit just because we have a good bit more to go through. But Chris Dunn going to the Rams. I mean, stay tuned with them. I think he could definitely make a case to get in that spot, and we'll definitely see what happens there. Tanner
They got rid
Eagle,
of their kicker, Matt Gay.
did they?
Went to the
Yeah.
to the Colts, so
Yeah, they
it's
didn't
kind of
sign
an open competition for the Rams.
Kind of a tryout. I like that. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Good. And then Tanner Ingle. I mean, I said it on the Twitter, but I don't think there's a better team that with a better mascot than the Rams to pick up Tanner Ingle for sure. So
Yeah.
I mean,
I like how you call it the Twitter.
The Twitter.
Twitter.
Hey, the Twitter. The Twitter.
The Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitterverse.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. He is like a battering ram, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely,
that's
dude.
pretty
That dude will lay a hammer for sure. And then Isaiah Moore going to the Chiefs, which I think is an interesting spot too. I know, Megan, you're pulling up all the depth charts, but linebacker wise, was the Chiefs have?
Didn't they? I think they'd let one of their guys go this year.
I was looking at this earlier. I remember thinking there wasn't anybody impressive in my mind that I could think of. Okay, Willie Gay I think is not bad. Nick
Willie Gay.
Bolton and Jalen Watson, and again, I know Drew Tranquil is a name that has been a pretty decent player at times as a linebacker. Najee Johnson, I feel like I've heard that name before. But nobody that is a star on that linebacking core, in my opinion, yet. So it's a fine spot for him. I don't know.
Which another thing to bring up too, which is kind of an opportunity too, is that for all these players, if an NFL team doesn't pick them up, with how the XFL has been doing, with Canadian football, I mean there are options for sure for them to go and play, especially since Isaiah Moore I think was a first or second round draft pick in the XFL draft or whatever it was.
USFL.
USFL. Yeah. So I mean, hey, go play. I mean, and I guarantee you NFL teams are watching. So the door is never closed. So
PJ Walker for the Panthers. I mean, he was that's where they got him from.
That's right.
Well, that's why they drafted number 1 overall too, but whatever.
And then
Greg, do you want to fight? Is that what you're saying, Greg?
I mean, technically
Because
they
we
traded
can
number
fight.
1, but
Yeah, it's true.
So
Great.
but also too, one that was forgotten too was
Dang, Greg, I
Corey
thought we were
Durden
fighting.
going to
Corey
Detroit.
Durden.
Oh yeah, I
that
didn't
was-
get him. That's my fault. Yep.
You're
Yep.
good.
Could play with Aleem.
But I think Corey and Aleem are going to be broing it up for sure at camp, and hopefully Corey Durden can make some magic going on there for sure. So excited for all these guys.
Yeah,
Go
we were
ahead.
talking about the players that we were most surprised that didn't get drafted, and I totally spaced out on Durden. He's the one that I would have said that I would have thought would have gotten drafted. A lot of mocks,
Size alone, yeah.
a lot of mocks. I saw him going 6th, 7th round. In fact,
Mhm.
one of them I saw was to the Bucks, and I'm like, okay, let's make that happen. But
yeah.
I'm most surprised about him.
So now getting back to Nick's question at the beginning of the show, which is of all the new Pac NFL players, who do you think will have the biggest impact? And obviously we'll leave Chandler Zavala out of this, but Michael,
That's gonna be a tough
who would you
question.
say?
Then.
I'd probably say Chris Dunn, just for what I mentioned earlier. The Rams got rid of their kicker, so I mean, there's definitely an opportunity for him to start from day one. So
That would be mine. Anybody not here not pick Chris Dunn?
I'm gonna go with Drake Thomas.
yeah, he'd probably be my number 2.
I
Yeah.
think Thayer. I think Thayer will ball out, and I think his name. I think he'll be like a Naheem. Like Naheem wasn't a really big name starting off in his NFL career. Now a lot of people know him. Now he's huge. So I think Thayer's gonna really show off in the
Where did Naeem get drafted? Like what round?
5th, I think.
Yeah, it was later.
5th, yeah, 5th or 6th. I think it was late 5th.
Yeah, it was later.
Yeah, I'm looking here. I don't even see Tyler Baker Williams listed on here. Yes, I do. I kind of want to go Tyler Baker Williams, to be honest with you. Because I mean, his competition is the guy named Jasir Taylor and Cayman Hall. I don't even know who these guys are. So, and I kind of, I mean, honestly, your point about Chris Dunn, I didn't know the little factoid that the other kicker got cut. So that was probably the most obvious one. I thought Tyler Baker Williams was one of our best defensive players. Although he had the ability, he also had a little bit of the size there. So I kind of feel like he has a chance to, make the team with the Chargers. But what do I know? So
yeah, he probably does have, like, when you're talking NFL size for his position, probably him or Zavala are kind of that perfect mold.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, 100%.
Isaiah's got good numbers for his position
Oh,
too,
yeah.
and he's a tackling machine. again, I think his biggest knock was that knee injury from last year. Sometimes teams, aren't. Had he played 2 more years off of that knee, they probably feel a little bit more comfortable. But yeah. And again, like I said earlier, if it's not the team that they get put on now, it could be any team. So we're not just saying necessarily the biggest impact with their current team, but overall, I still think Drake's gonna. I mean, you can't teach the instinct.
Right.
And I don't think this guy necessarily is going to make. He might make a squad somehow, but I don't think we even mentioned. Did we mention Tanner Ingle in this yet? Because he got
yeah.
I missed it.
He was on the slide.
Okay, he's in the Rams. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they're
again,
all going to be great.
they're all going to be
All of
awesome.
them.
But I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the guy like Zonovan Knight. I mean, he had a great end of the season last year, but now with Brees Hall coming back, they still have Michael Carter. So
they just drafted the guy too, though.
And they just drafted the guy too. Yeah. So I mean, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting offseason for sure.
Abanikanda from Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh had a lot of guys drafted.
Yeah, they did.
Elijah Cansey.
And if you somewhat count Addison, I mean that he kind of counts.
Yeah, but no, I don't know. I feel like Zonovan's kind of. If you're looking at it my fantasy football standpoint, I hate to say, I feel like he's probably like a sell right now, but he could still get there and play. He was the thing with Zonovan is he flashed last year, right? So they've seen that this guy's got something here we can work with, and it helped us win games. So
I think a team would be crazy not to at least have him on their practice squad just to be ready to call up if needed. Just because he's shown that he can do it. He can be a relied upon running back if needed. So, but so moving on, one thing which I did want to talk about because I don't know I got a lot of questions about this specifically yesterday when I was answering questions at the airport was talking about the news of Demi Sumo entering the transfer portal. And, definitely was a little bit of a shocker. I'll be honest with you that with how much the transfer portal has changed, specifically today, I know we put this in the Discord, but for those who didn't see the news, that apparently the North Carolina High School Athletic Association is actually voting right now on allowing high school athletes to make money off of NIL, which, I mean, to me, I'm just sitting here going, man, what is going on in this world? This is crazy, y'all. It's absolutely crazy. And because basically somebody asked me what have you heard about why Demi Sumo left? And you've already heard Inside Pack Sports. You've heard other people talk about it, but it's also obvious. NIL has become a big reason for a lot of players entering the transfer portal these days. It just is. But also too, I mean, I would say as well that I would say the timing where it came after spring ball makes me maybe think as well that maybe he was told that, obviously Michael Allen looked great at the end of last season. I mean, I want to say that first and foremost. Louisville at the bowl game, 100%. Michael Allen looked great. So I'm excited about him. You still got Jordan Houston, and on top of it, you have the true freshman running back Raphael, who I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. Maybe the coaching staff kind of said, kind of like Raphael. Just saying. So, I mean, maybe it's a combination of just a crowded.
You still got Delbert Mims, too.
Yeah, and you got Delbert Mims. So, just a crowded room, maybe, combined with maybe he got some agents talking in his ear. Just completely speculating right now. But to me, it was like, bummer, but I'm not necessarily worried. Any of y'all have anything to add on that?
I mean, he only played in 8 games last year. So, he missed 5 games. He almost, missed a third or a quarter of the season. My math's not very good. And honestly, if you look at his numbers, he flashed against lower competition. Like when he played against Clemson and some of the better teams in the ACC, his numbers weren't quite as good. Now, I know in that BC game, he had limited. That's where he got injured. So really, he played in 8, but really he only played in 7. And then out of those 7, I think only really 3 games he had really good numbers. One was against ECU. He ran well against Charleston Southern, so call that what it was. The really good competition that he ran against was Texas Tech. And so really he only flashed in truly really well in 1 game.
Yeah, agreed. Making Michael Kenzie, anything to add to that?
Not it. No, I'm good.
Yep, sweet.
I mean, yeah, I think he's a guy. It would be nice to have kept him to see that potential.
Sure.
But at the same time, I'm not too worried with what we have returning still in the running back room.
Again, I would say to anybody who's worried, I would say watch those last 3 or 4 games and watch Michael Allen.
Yeah.
That dude he's electric,
a
man.
beast.
He's
He's
electric.
gonna be a beast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
simple as that. I think if you give him an offensive coordinator that could put him in a position to make plays, yeah, he's gonna be scary. Yeah.
Honestly, what I'm more concerned about, and it's off topic, not off topic, is the offensive line opening holes.
Sure.
I mean, really, if you have a wide enough hole, I mean, you're going to get 4 yards. You don't even have to be a great running back if there's a wide enough hole.
Sure.
So it's more about, are you making your yardage behind the line where you're creating your own play?
Well, the thing I would say to that too is, first of all, I mean, again, I've said this multiple times that Doran has always prided himself that when an assistant coach leaves, he prides himself on bringing somebody in even better. And I think from everything you've seen from 2J so far, I mean, I would not be shocked if, I say at the end of 2J's tenure that he ended up being even better than what Garrison gave us. So, let's see what happens. I feel good, about our staff right now.
Yep.
There's not really anybody I'm really that worried about right now. So we'll see, just, got to trust the process, I guess, but we'll, to be determined. All right. So let's jump on over to some baseball, baby. So to me, y'all, the first thing I'm going to say, this has been one of the weirdest ACC baseball years, man. Like weird as you know what. Because, I mean, like literally Clemson, all right? We were sitting here saying, dude, we got swept by Clemson. Like, dude, what were we doing getting swept by Clemson? But then they go and beat Boston College in a series. At Boston College. And like, and then Wake Forest of all people is looking like heads and tails, arguably the best team in college baseball right now. Like Wake Forest is dominated right now across the country. So I don't know what to say, honestly, about NC State or ACC baseball or college baseball right now. To me, it's like, it's weird. I don't even know what to say. Greg, you were there this weekend. Can you shed some light or Kansas making? I don't know. I don't even know what to say about it.
I mean, somebody wants to go first, I can then share, but
I don't even have that much to say, honestly, about it. Just,
I mean, I think after getting we did as good as we could have after getting swept.
Right.
You beat ECU, the ranked team at home, and then 2 games against Citadel with canceling the 3rd game, which was a good move.
Yeah.
So now it's a home stretch here. What we have 3 series left.
Yeah, 3 series and then 3 midweek games. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got North Carolina A&T, which has been moved up to 2:00 tomorrow. It was a 6:00 game.
Yeah.
And then we travel to Notre Dame. And then we got midweek next week against Richmond. And then we are at Carolina. And then we're at Pitt. Or excuse me, Pitt is at us the end of the year. So three series left. You have to win all 3 in my book. 1 sweep would be great. 2 would be even better.
Yep.
It is interesting now that we have flipped. The biggest news, I think, from all the baseball this past week is the insertion of Highfield back into the starting lineup and Dom Fritton to the bullpen. That was a little bit of a
interesting. Yeah.
Agreed. But honestly, like if I think we have a lot of lefties in the bullpen. I would have liked to have maybe seen that lefty stay in a starting lineup role.
Yeah.
And maybe I would have switched. And again, because Dom has had statistically, he's probably our best pitcher, definitely our best starting pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have maybe had swapped Highfield for Whitaker, but I don't know the logic. So
yeah, I mean, I know, you were saying Dom statistically has been our best starter. At the same time, the bullpen has not been great. So moving a good arm like that to the bullpen maybe helps stabilize things and putting Sam back in his
rightful position.
Because Sam did a really good job in that spot.
Yeah, and Sam was supposed to pitch Sunday, and that game was canceled too. He ended up coming out of the bullpen on Saturday. Pitched well. Again, it was Citadel. It was a series where I thought it's kind of what we needed to kind of get a breather, some non-ACC competition.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is like Noah Souls tore it up on Saturday, so it's great to get that bat back in the lineup and have some consistency. You're seeing guys like now Trevor Candelaria has now kind of moved to center field, playing some there, and then you're kind of messing with left and right. I think left and center. Those are the two positions that you're really messing with. I think the infield is really good now that you've made the Green and Harrison swap permanent.
Mm-hmm.
So, look, we still got games. You got to go win ball games if you're gonna. I saw out of the 3 major publications that did their projections, we were in 2 of them and out of 1 of them, and then the 2 that we were in, we were a 3 seed in both of them.
So. Which and again, I mean, I again, us at Tuffy Talk, we're always the glass half full people, for sure. But I will say that even though, can we make a huge argument that we should have made the tournament last year but didn't? Absolutely. But not making 2 NCAA tournaments in a row, would that be a code red situation?
Depends on who you ask.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say yes.
I feel like there's a lot of differing opinions for that.
I would say, because listen, y'all, let's make it perfectly clear. Nobody's saying, all right, Avon, you're out of here, you're fired, like, hit the road, Jack. Like, no, absolutely not. Like, this guy is a legend, like, and rightfully so. He's like, to me, he's up there with like a Jim Boeheim kind of deal, where it's like, it's almost got to be a mutual agreement of a sort, where, I mean, like, I in my
it never is though.
But it never is. But also, I'm just saying, I mean, like, how much this guy's done for the program.
Yep.
He deserves to go out, with give his, his final wave and whatever that may be. But also I'm saying here too, because I mean, just it's an odd situation. But I will say I do trust Boo at the end of the day. Hey, listen. Well, first of all, at the end of the day, Boo's gonna do what he's gonna do. I mean, like, whatever we talk about on here, he's gonna do whatever he decides. So just this is all speculation right here. But yeah. So
well, hey, in other news, happy birthday, Coach. Today is his
That's
birthday.
right.
It's his birthday.
Hey,
Let's go. Why you're birthday? It is his birthday.
But also too, because I mean, like, have there been a lot of questions from a coaching perspective in terms of like what the heck's been going on this season with Harrison and Peyton Green? Like, what's been going on with Carter Trice? Like, how's that guy not really hit his groove at all this season? And from a pitching, perspective, like, yeah, there's a lot of questions for sure. But, at the end of the day, all we can do is just say, hey, listen, let's put our heads down. We have 3 series left. Let's put it all on the line. Let's see what we can do in the ACC tournament. And then hopefully we make the NCAA tournament. And if we don't, then I'm sure Boo and Avon will have a conversation.
Yeah.
This is going to sound really weird when I say this. I almost think we have too much talent.
Well, we have too many guys, but yeah, I agree that you really want 9 guys to stand out by this point in the season.
Well, right. That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, like you see guys like Cannon Peebles, who's been tearing it up of late, and he's only getting a spot start here, maybe a DH. You're still running with and Cozy's been playing well too. So and you guys like Cannon's a freshman, Eli's a freshman, Dom's a freshman. And then, you can't get in the lineup consistent. You had guys like Chase Nixon, who went on a hot streak there for a while, can't get back in the lineup. Like, it's just hard getting that rhythm, right? And we keep talking about the College World Series here just a few years ago, when Coach ran out the same lineup, 45 games, 50 games in a row. So again, you knew what you were getting, and so it's just weird. But all these guys are contributing at different points in the season. I just don't know how you manage that, and I'll be honest.
Yep. And Hunter says if he misses again, his staff must change. Yeah, I think if he misses 2 NCAA tournaments in a row, then something significant definitely got to change.
Well, so that brings up a point. If you're changing the staff, who are you changing? Because by all counts, Coach Hart's the coach in waiting.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be hard. It's got to be Chrysler at the very least. It's got to be. And Michelle says with the talent we've had, it's definitely a reason for concern for not making the tournament 2 years in a row. But again, baseball's been weird this year. So, not necessarily to say that is
good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, it's a conversation that would have to come at the end of the season, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've made Avon's made ACC title game 2 years in a row now. I know you didn't make the NCAA tournament last year, but you're still one bad inning away from an ACC title last year. So
and an automatic bid.
yeah, right.
Yep.
So
Right.
I mean, yeah, definitely missing it 2 in a row is not good.
And,
But,
and part of that goes too because he's been there for so long, right? So that's like, it's not like a coach he's been there 2 or 3 years, and this will be like his second time missing it. He's been there 20 plus years, and let's not forget he's still probably going to hit 1,000 career wins at state here probably in the next couple of weeks. I think he's only probably 5 or 6 away from that now.
Yeah. Well, and especially with the amount of money that the Wolfpack Club and members are putting into the stadium, I think that we're entering that point where we have to raise the bar for our program. Like, we can't just be a guy that's just happy with making the NCAA tournament and being a top 25 team. Like, we need to be winning ACC championships. Like we need to be there. We need to be, in the conversation for easily every year with, hosting a regional. Like, we need to be in that conversation. And so Hunter's saying we should get in. Well, even if we're sitting here, like, let's say we win all 3 series, and let's say we win a game or 2 in the AC tournament, which to me, you should make the tournament. If we don't make the tournament, I'm still sitting here saying, hey, listen, we didn't make the tournament. Even though we shouldn't have even been borderline. Yeah. With as much time as we had.
To your point, we should be making the tournament as a 1 or 2 seed every year, not a 3 or 4.
That should be the bar for this team.
Right. And then you were. Go ahead, Leighton. You haven't really said anything.
You were finishing your thought out. Go ahead.
No, the only thing I was going to say is, look, you've to Leighton's point, you've raised all of this capital to put these new facilities in. Guess what you've also done? You've raised your ticket prices by $100 a ticket for people that want season tickets. They're going to want value for their dollar. Season tickets now are $250 or $299 for each ticket.
Yeah,
that's almost as expensive as football.
Yeah,
it's true. Close. That's true.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, you can't do that and have all these upgrades and then just miss the tournament. Yeah.
So, but we'll see. Again, just 3 more series. Let's focus, see what we could do, and then once the season is over, then I'm sure Boo and Avon will have a conversation out of the way. So, all right, so let's move on to some men's basketball, y'all. So finally, we have some signees in the building between Ben Middlebrooks, Mohamed Diarra.
Yeah, good job.
Let's go. And then MJ Rice, y'all. So again, it's awesome to see these guys finally in writing coming to us. And I love, honestly, and I know I missed last week's show, but I loved MJ Rice seeming honestly really excited about coming to NC State. I mean, you've seen him all over social media. He might have been asked to do it, might not have, but I'm just saying that he's the only guy I've seen that's been making videos saying, hey, yo, Wolfpack Nation, like, let's do this, which has been awesome. And especially because, I think of all the guys, I think MJ Rice is the most like, whoa guy, like, getting a former 5-star from Kansas to the state.
Yeah, that's a great point, Leighton.
Yeah. So, you got to be excited, and then with DJ Burns, I know, from all he's been saying, and I think it was honestly funny how he did the announcement, because I think it was more from an NIL perspective. He wanted to, kind of roll out his merchandise line. Hey, good for him.
$150 for a sweatshirt.
$150?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
But you know what? So far, he's almost sold out of them or something like that.
I think he sold out of them.
Yeah. But the crappy thing is, there's already knockoffs out there for $30.
What?
Because you can't. There's no copyright on that stuff. You can't copyright it.
That's all right. Fair enough.
So,
all right. Yeah.
Not that I say that you should go do that. Go support these athletes. But the crappy thing is
right.
but that's the crappy thing, right? Like,
true.
Yeah.
So the only other thing, now that really stands in the way is really that true point guard spot. And I know that there's, obviously a lot of talks about Jalen Bradley. That's been the main guy, which I think that's a very interesting situation right now, because it definitely seems like from everything you've heard, even publicly, like this isn't necessarily private stuff. It's publicly known that, and it's been said on Twitter, that it's pretty much an NIL conversation is really what it seems to be around. So where are we at in terms of with this last spot? Is it maybe that you're just starting to maybe feel like, all right, if it doesn't happen, do you start to maybe look at LJ Thomas to step up a little bit, or what?
Well, I mean, if you go look at the math, like we talked about last week's show, like we have, we
full
have,
right
we
now.
have, I think 13
Yeah,
or 12
you're full.
scholarships, whatever it is. So
Mhm.
you can't take anybody else. So
Unless
unless
somebody's
somebody
gonna
else were
transfer.
to leave,
Yep.
nothing can happen.
Domino
So
has to fall first.
I would say for NC State fans, plan on nothing happening until something happens, right? So sounds like a really odd way to say it, but
you're right. You have
I
to
don't know.
wait
I
for
mean,
somebody to drop
technically, you
first.
still have Casey Morcell, and you right. I mean, technically, you have Casey Morcell, and you have Isaiah Miranda doing the NBA draft process to figure out what they like and don't like. I mean, yeah. I mean, like, you know, I would suck to have Casey leave, and I don't know if it would suck to have Miranda leave, but I mean, that would be bizarre. So I don't really know what's going to happen there. So yeah, I don't know. I would say right now, nothing's happening. So
See, Miranda for me, for some reason, that if he does leave, that would just, to be honest, I would leave a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth just because he was so like, oh, NC State, baby, all the way, NC State. And then, you know, which I mean, again, I understand at the end of the day, hey, it's business. I get it. But I'm just saying, like, you haven't heard Casey Morcell being like, oh man, NC State, baby, let's go. Like, you know, he's been quiet throughout this process, which I completely respect. I understand. You do it and you evaluate and you let us know what you're going to do.
I mean, like, I don't really care. Those guys do this great.
Yeah.
It's cool, and you see them do it. But I don't know. I would just say for State fans, nothing can happen right now. So just enjoy what roster you got. Focus on that, and if something happens, then kind of you can kind of perk your eyebrow a little bit, like, okay, what's going on here? So,
but I mean, we are definitely still actively going after Jalen Bradley, though, right?
I think,
By all accounts,
from what I read on social media, that is something that's still piquing people's interest on a national level for them and Memphis. I saw a tweet,
Arizona.
I think that had like Arizona, something like that was involved.
Yep.
What's interesting is that Jaden hasn't committed to any school yet.
Yeah.
And hey, I mean, guys can still transfer, I think, and do that kind of thing. So it's not like maybe another name pops up. But again, I think the important thing to take away from here is nothing can happen right now. So it's just, we're talking about that subject just right now. I think everybody just needs to plan on whether you. I mean, I think you should like it. I think we need to be talking about right now the guys who are here and the guys who aren't here. It's a topic of discussion, but like, State has gotten, I think, what is it, 5 now, really good transfer targets. Even if State rolls in the next year with DJ Horn, LJ Thomas, and Breon Pass, DJ Horn can play point guard. I mean, he is a point guard. He's more like a combo guard. He kind of plays off the ball, and I think that's where he's going to be best at. Breon's, played backup point guard last year, and I, for me personally, don't look at any of those 3 as like that. Don't excite me at the 1 spot. They kind of. I feel like LJ and DJ Horn kind of excite me more at the 2 spot. I could kind of, I don't know. I guess that's why I kind of look at it. So I'm not really sure what would happen there, but I'm more excited about what we have now on the roster.
Agreed.
Yeah, and if anything happens, like if we're to get another point guard, the first thing that's going to happen is you'll see somebody enter the transfer portal or stay in the draft. So just that'll be your key.
And I promise you'll see some of these other sites like Pack Pride, Inside Pack Sports, will Pack are being very quick to repost and do all that kind of stuff. So, you'll be aware if anything happens. But I think we're all kind of saying, we're talking about it as if it's going to happen.
It might not.
It can't happen. It can't happen right now. So, like, just we should be. I think the conversation should be focusing on who we have on this team. Not that you do anything wrong. I'm just saying, like, I think we should be focusing on those guys because they actually chose to be here already. Right? They've already signed. So, like, Diarra, Horn, Taylor. I mean, no one's really talking about Jalen Taylor a ton.
People still haven't talked about Ernest Ross, too. I mean,
and heck, I mean, people are – I mentioned LJ and Breon. nobody's really talking about those guys because they're kind of like just kind of glazing over them, like, oh, we got DJ Horn now, great, cool. It's like, hey, we got Jaden Taylor, great, cool. It's like,
But
LJ was really good in some small minutes. When he had his playing time, I felt like he was very efficient. So
I was just gonna say, but isn't that kind of the funny way? Like it's like you take for granted what you already have on your roster, and you get excited for the new guys, and it's like the old horse over there is still steady. She'll still get you. She'll still get you where you need to go.
Mhm.
But you're so excited about the new wheels, the new car in the garage.
Well,
Right.
it's to me to a lot of people
not
you
as
just see it's like the
sexy,
shiny
right?
new toy.
Right.
Yeah, it's the shiny new
Right.
toy.
Shiny new toy.
Ooh, like nice. So,
Yeah.
But one other thing though, y'all, which I wanted to bring up before we kind of wrap this thing up here, on touching on a couple other small topics. I was reading an ESPN Plus article that ranked the top spring transfers for college football, and you know who was number 6 on this list?
Wait, say it one more time.
Armstrong.
Back up.
The top spring college football transfers.
Well, I
Number
mean,
6.
the easy one to me would be to ask, say, like Greg said, Armstrong. But
he wasn't.
I'm
going
to guess. Yeah. So spring transfers. So is it coming? Let me ask a question. I'm assuming this is going into state.
No, nationally.
So it's leaving. So no,
Is there a state connection?
Is there state
kind
connection?
Kind of.
Okay, now hold on. Now I'm actually really want to guess this one.
He didn't go to or from state, but he might have worn a shade of blue.
Oh, I know you're talking about cornerback. Duck.
Storm Duck.
Storm
Number
Duck.
6.
Yeah.
Because just a little bit of a reminder. So he transferred from UNC. He committed to Penn State, and a couple months later he transferred again, and now he was going to Louisville.
Oh, is that where he's going now?
Yeah. And they said Storm Duck, who transferred to Penn State from UNC in the December transfer window, is back in the portal just a few months later. Duck played 4 seasons at UNC and earned second-team All-ACC honors in 2002. He played in all 12 games this past season and had 3 interceptions along with 46 tackles. And I'm sitting here going,
well, he missed a couple against state.
Why? That's my thing. Is I'm sitting here. See, honestly, for me, y'all, I'm kind of conflicted. Like, do I want him to absolutely kill it at Louisville just to stick it to UNC, being like, hey, look what he could do when he actually has a half decent coach? Or, do I want him to, still, suck just because, we, had his number a couple of times and we're gonna see him again this season too. So I don't know. I thought it was interesting seeing him at number 6. I was like, really? Number 6.
Well, side note, it was also really interesting. I saw a tweet put out. Remember Cameron Kelly? That was the guy that Emeka Mezi mossed at the UNC game a couple of times at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Go look up his timeline the last year or two. That dude has he transferred into UVA in January. He's already transferred out of UVA to Louisville as well. So
yeah, which Louisville's definitely got an interesting little thing going on over there.
Well, they got a lot of NIL there.
They got a lot of money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that.
But the one thing I will say, so he's from, I think he's the one that's from Virginia Beach, if I'm not mistaken. I might have him. No, Storm Duck.
Storm Duck.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was another guy
from Virginia area.
Yeah, I think he's the one from Virginia Beach.
Yes.
Boiling Springs, South Carolina is where he was born.
Tony Grimes is the other one.
Tony Grimes is the guy I'm thinking about.
Boiling Springs, North Carolina is South Carolina.
Yeah, Tony Grimes is the one I'm thinking about. His dad is super vocal on Twitter. He gets into
he's messaged us a couple times. Yeah,
and he transferred to Texas A&M, right?
I think so. I think that sounds right.
Yeah.
So, but again, just thought that was interesting, but didn't want to necessarily spend too much time about it. Just reading through that list. I'm like, hold on, Storm Duck? Wait a second.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is these are all highly recruited guys coming in, so that's why they're still on the radar.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, y'all, but then got to give a shout out to our boy Michael Machiavella for winning the U.S. Open, and so really just kind of. It's really kind of tough to kind of explain to somebody who doesn't necessarily know much about, how the wrestling scene works and specifically like what the US Open is specifically. But basically, long story short is that basically if you win the US Open, you have an opportunity to compete at what's called Final X, which if you win that, then you can qualify to represent Team USA.
It's like a trials. It's like
yeah,
trials.
it's basically a trials, basically. So Michael Machiavello won, beat some really good wrestlers to get there, and for being the 197 national champion back in 2018. I mean, I honestly think he's honestly gotten even better shape every single year, even since he won the national championship. I know we've had him on a couple times. He's a friend of the channel, and so to see him accomplish this was huge. I mean, he was the only NC State wrestler, current or past, to do it, to win the U.S. Open. Even Gwiz didn't win it now, and obviously Gwiz had to go against Gable Stevenson,
Yeah.
who was
a little different.
probably the biggest freak of in the history of college wrestling. But
Olympic gold medalist.
yeah, so but again, I mean, just got to give a shout out to Mock, man. That was a huge accomplishment. Love seeing him get excited and win by tech fall. And another thing which I want to point out as well is that Pat Glory, who was the defending national champion at 125
Camacho.
this past year, Camacho teched him. Camacho beat him 10-0. So
Wow.
just an interesting thing of being like
Something to watch for the fall or the winter.
Yeah, Pop's definitely got his gonna make his money trying to figure out how he's gonna put all these guys in the best spot to win next year.
And
So,
Isaac had a nice showing too.
he did.
I think he made to the finals, didn't he?
He did. You're correct.
Yeah.
So definitely interesting stuff there. All right, y'all, and then to kind of wrap it up a little bit here too. So the announcement today about men's and women's tennis, both men can get into the tournament. The men's tournament's going to Georgia to first round against Oklahoma. And I think after that, if they win, they more likely have to face Georgia, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So excited to see what they can do there. Consistent top 25 team the whole season, beat UNC this year, which was huge. So excited for them there. And then next up, women's tennis. I think they're number 4, number 3 in the country.
Yeah. Number 1 seed.
Yeah, they're number
They're
1
gonna
seed.
host.
Yeah, they're going to host all the way through to
the Final Four.
Final Four, yeah. So going against South Carolina State. So again, super excited for women's tennis, see what they could do again. I mean, and first of all, y'all got to give a huge shout out. Which honestly is crazy to me to think about, that this was actually women's tennis first ever ACC championship. And I know, Greg, you were there, but to me, it's like, man, we've been good for a couple of years now, and you're telling me this is the first time we've won the ACC championship, which I think more of obviously just confirm. It just shows that, I mean, UNC has been
that speaks to the volume of
cool.
the ACC with UVA, Duke, and
UNC.
Carolina.
Yeah. Agreed. So huge shout out to them to get that done, and I'm telling y'all, it's been a great year for NC State athletics. I know that we don't necessarily have an ACC championship show for it for men's basketball and football, women's basketball, but I'm telling y'all, between cross country, between wrestling, between women's tennis, obviously, swimming and diving, it's been a very, very successful year. So anybody who I know maybe still not a Boo Corrigan fan. I mean, hey y'all, listen, he has taken what Debbie Yao left him, and he has continued, in my opinion, to improve upon it. I'm sitting here. I feel that every single program that I could think of right now is heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
Even softball, who I know that we don't even have the head coach right now, but I'm sitting here saying,
but
softball has done a lot with losing their head coach and associate head coach. They've turned some heads.
When you need to, firing coach is a step in the right direction. So
and also, he's had plenty of time. So I'm very excited to see who he has picked out, because he's already
he's already been talking to folks
for sure.
The one thing I would be interested in, maybe this will be a fun exercise we can work on, is how many consecutive years we have at least one ACC championship in sports. So I'd be willing to bet
That'd be a good thought.
Yeah. I would be willing to bet it's probably 7 or 8 years in a row. At a minimum. At a minimum.
Oh yeah, agree. And by the way, Cam Metcalf, what's up? Sorry, man, didn't get to your what's up there earlier, but what's up? So, and then lastly, to finish it off, women's golf is going to be hosting at Lonnie Pool actually in the NCAA tournament, which it's funny. A buddy of mine just played golf there this weekend, and I was like, "Hey, just make sure not to leave any divots, man. We got a tournament we're hosting, so keep that green nice and clean, all right." So
Well, I don't think we're hosting though. I think if I understood it, Wake Forest is actually hosting, and we're number 2.
Yeah, no, we're not. But we're
Yeah.
not one of the top 16 or something like that. But yeah, it's just at Lonnie Pool.
Yeah.
So
Which works out nicely.
yeah,
I mean, I think
that's
there's
our-
an advantage there for sure.
Oh, 100%. Because I mean that's where they practice, so they know that course inside and out, no doubt
Yep.
about it. So, but anyway, y'all. So I think that kind of wraps it up there for us. The only things about y'all do you want to give a heads up about is this week we will be coming out with our interview with Assad Brown, NC State football commit. So definitely look forward to that. If you haven't checked out last week's episodes with the cheerleading squad, make sure to check that out first, though, because it was a doozy of an interview. And so make sure to go and check that out first and foremost. And then come right back and then check out Assad Brown. And make sure you don't miss out on that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, which is free to do. And then also, too, make sure, again, we already said it already, but join us in the private Discord, y'all. There's some craziness that goes on there, and it's a lot of fun, a lot of NC State talk. So make sure to join in there with us. Greg, Macon, Michael, any last thoughts here before we wrap this thing up?
Go get some more wins this week in all of our sports.
Agreed. Yep.
Go
And
sports.
Go
And
sports.
Yeah,
I'm-
I can't believe
go
it's
sports
May
ball.
already. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go,
we're breathing at the neck of football season coming back around. That's all I'm saying. Like we're
Yeah, I mean,
breathing
we
at
have-
the neck a little
We
bit.
have just over probably a month or so of sports left in this academic year.
I know.
That's if we do well.
Yep. Well, yeah, that's true. So, hey, worst comes to worst. I mean, hey, Elon is right down the road, and they've been killing it this season. So, anyway, y'all. But other thing as well, just a reminder once again, if anybody who's tuning in here with us can please do us a big favor and let us know who we can be in touch with to help with the issues on NC State's campus right now, would really appreciate it. We really do want to be a part of that conversation and help make some positive changes there. And yeah, just give us a follow, Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter, Instagram, y'all. But we appreciate y'all joining in with us for this conversation. Hope y'all had a great time. We'll see y'all soon. Go
Shout
Pack,
out
y'all.
Randolph Macon lacrosse.